Final four. It's the Patriots and Steelers as we look to crown a winner in the AFC, the 49ers and Bucks in the NFC. But first things first, Todd, take us through the final two in the AFC.
The final two in the AFC, Patriots and Steelers, and I went with the Patriots. Again, same reasons as we talked about because of how they used their picks. And everyone's saying, well, they didn't even pick till the third round. They only had 4 picks. Yeah, but look at what they did with all the veterans that we've mentioned 5 times in the show already, starting with this guy, Brandon Cooks, a vertical weapon for Tom Brady.
All right, Mel, we'll talk. We're going to get to one. We're working our way to one. But first, the 49ers and the Bucks in the NFC.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 49ers. John Lynch did a great job, and I think you look at Thomas, and certainly you look at Foster, but I think you look at C.J. Beathard in the third round. His grandfather, Bobby Beathard, great bloodlines there. As a third-round pick, what can he do? Obviously, Solomon Thomas is going to be a dominator up front. You know that. They drafted 2 defensive linemen the last couple of years, and I really think that when you get down to it 3 years down the road, you have Porter, you have Barkley. Where is C.J. Beathard? They seem to have a pretty high opinion on the former Iowa Hawkeye quarterback playing for Kirk Ferentz at a really high level. You know he knows football. He's got that football savvy. Been around it his whole life. What can he do as a quarterback? Can he be the overlooked quarterback that nobody even discussed that turns out to be pretty good?
An established program, a franchise that knows how to win, and then a first-year GM. So those are our final two, Todd. Patriots and 49ers, if you put them head-to-head, whose draft do you prefer?
I'm going Patriots. I got yelled at. The producer didn't want me to do this. Herm Edwards strong-armed me yesterday and told me I couldn't talk about it because it wasn't draft picks. It's not college guys.
It's a draft process.
Find me someone better than what the Patriots did. I just can't. I don't see it. But the fact that the 49ers are sitting there with John Lynch in his first draft, pretty amazing what he did.
You agree with Todd in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a tough call.
He hates to do that.
He knows that. But I think when you look at utilizing the draft as a process to get your team better, they did.
I mean, it was, it's kind of tough because it's the dracket, not the off racket. Like, it's tough. You know what I'm saying?
He's been holding that one for Does it matter to you that there were 4 picks, Lewis?
No, it doesn't. I understand how you're factoring in Brandon Cooks here, but I think what you like about New England is the fact that the types of players that they pick really speak to just how much they know what they need. Look, Derek Rivers is a multi-positional player that can play with his hand down and play in a 2-point. Who does a better job at using hybrid players like that than the New England Patriots? When you draft guys like Antonio Garcia and Connor McDermott, you go, okay, well, who are those guys? Troy, UCLA, just average players. Look at the Patriots' offensive line, and they have the ultimate equalizer. They have Dante Scarnecchia. Yes. That's how they do things there. They don't get the players that everyone knows. They get the players that they know, that they like, and they develop them, which to me is really what makes the draft productive or not productive anyway. It's not about what we're talking about right now. It's not about the college hype anymore. It's about knowing your football team and then developing them, and no one does it better than them.
The other aspect of it is this, about getting guys, because it is about the process that are good players. And then we've seen it before where they get to New England and they become really good or great players. I mean, Dwayne Allen in Indianapolis, sometimes you forgot about him. He's going to go to New England, and whether it's a Gronkowski injury or just the fact that he's playing opposite of him, you're going to see massive production out of Dwayne Allen. You will. And then Brandon Cooks, even though he played with a good quarterback in New Orleans, you're going to see him in a role that maybe you never saw him play in before.
There's going to be a lot of players that we like in this draft that are going to go to places, and somehow it's just not going to work because they're not going to fit. The chances are the players that New England takes, they're going to fit because how many times have they taken players that everyone else says, that's ridiculous. Why would you sign that guy? And next thing you know, you're going, oh, wow, that's a really good player.
Dietrich Wise, their 4th-round pick out of Arkansas, looked like a 1st or 2nd rounder going into the year.
Brandon Cooks, 23 years old. 23, so he's as young as some of these draft picks, basically.
And I think the word you used, process. That's what stands out in New England because it's the process that's in place every single year, Susie.
And we'll wrap with this segue because in New England, no one is irrelevant. So we'll finish up with the non-irrelevant players, and this should really be a nod to what the Broncos did at pick number 253 because you couldn't have a more non-irrelevant than Chad Kelly, the quarterback from Ole Miss, right? But who would be your kind of under-the-radar, non-irrelevant?
Right there, Susie, Alvin Kamara. I think Sean Payton and the Saints will use him in the joker role. He'll be a 3rd-down player. He'll be the kind of player that C.J. Spiller, they had hoped to be at one point, and I think this guy can be that in this offense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Malik McDowell, who the Seahawks picked up in the second round. Look, this is a football team, and our stats and research department fed me this information during the draft. And that's the fact that of the 42 sacks that the Seahawks had last year, only 7 of them came from players lined up at D tackle. Malik McDowell will increase that total, and out there in that system, he should rip it up as long as he buys into what they're doing.
I'm going to go Kareem Hunt for the Kansas City Chiefs in the third round, a downhill runner. He's going to help Alex Smith, and he'll help Patrick Mahomes down the road. This kid can play, very underrated, very versatile kid out of Toledo. Heck of a player with the Rockets.
Carson Wentz gets another weapon in Mac Hollis. I thought this is one of the more underrated players in the draft coming out of North Carolina. 6'4", 221 pounds. He was the 118th pick. You can't tell me there are 117 better players than him. He had some durability issues, but comes in with a chip on his shoulder, former walk-on. A quarter of his catches went for touchdowns, and he had 20 special teams tackles. This guy is an absolute special teams maven covering kicks and punts.
That's a Jim Cramer pick.
I'm going with James Conner, and not because he's the feel-good story of the draft, but because he can run the football. This guy was the ACC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, and we've seen Le'Veon Bell miss games, and we've seen D'Angelo Williams spell that spot. He's going to be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year in the running game.
Mel alluded to it earlier. How about C.J. Beathard as maybe the forgotten quarterback in this class? Think about Kyle Shanahan having success with guys like Matt Schaub, Brian Hoyer, and Kirk Cousins. I think he fits what they want to do offensively, has a chance to develop him. And oftentimes it's about playing the position, not about the most physical tools.
I'm going to go with undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver Trey Green.